Hey there, welcome to day 11 of No Nonsense November. I'm showing you a picture of the life cycle. Now, we're not talking the circle of life from Lion King or that kind of a life cycle because we all know about our actual physical existence here on the planet, our life cycle. You know, you're born, you grow up, you mature, you hopefully learn, become, and do and be and have the things that you want, and then we die, right? That's in a nutshell the life cycle. You're born, you live, you die, ba-boom. Now, of course, there's all kinds of systems and beliefs of what happens after, but that's what we're here to talk about. We're talking about the life cycle. Today I was going to talk about feelings and emotions a little bit more deeply from our emotional guidance system discussion yesterday. But I got to thinking and I got to drawing, as I often do, about the connection between thoughts and feelings and beliefs and values and priorities and all of it. And I realized that in our lives, there's a lot of things that impact us, and it always really goes through this cycle. And some people think of it as hills and valleys, some people think of it as cycles, but I think of it as like a big wheel or spokes on a bicycle, right? Life cycle, bicycle, right? Because in the middle of it all, in the middle of it, the hub that holds it all together is you. It's me and you. It's us. We are the center and the focus of everything. And it's not just our physical being, the who we are and how we show up and what our hair looks like and what color eyes we have and how much we weigh and what we do. It's not just our physical appearance. It's the bigger version of ourselves, and some people will call it your soul, your being, the being part of your human beingness, whatever you call it. It's at the center of everything, and it's us, right? We experience everything, and that means the things outside of us and inside of us all come together to form our own life wheel, our own life cycle. And I wanted to draw this big and make a big graphic of it, yet it would be backwards. So what I'll do is I will draw it up, take a picture, and pop it in the comments below. But I want to talk about it because I want to talk about the importance of remembering that all of these things are changing all the time. They're interrelated. It's all a part of who we are in our being. So you can start anywhere on the cycle, right? You can start anywhere and it still goes to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next thing. So say we start with an experience. We have an experience. There's COVID-19, and that's going to affect all of us differently. And the experience we're going to actually have is going to be different for each of us based on all of the other things on this wheel, all of the other things on this life cycle. So the first thing happens, there's an experience, there's an event, and our senses, our sight, sound, smell, taste, hearing, our intuition, that sixth sense, all starts to collect data, right? All of it starts to come together and we collect data and we start to feel things, right? We see things and we start to feel things, literally feel them. That leads to our emotions, and our emotions kick in as we're thinking about what we're feeling and what emotions we're having. We start to attach meaning to the experience that we've had and all of the information and all the data that's coming into our being. And we're starting to filter that through our thoughts. Now, when we think thoughts often enough, over and over and over again, they become our beliefs. And our beliefs, and I just added that before I turned on and record, impacts and has to do with our values. Well, our values come from all these other things over and over and over again. Or if we have an experience that's super emotionally charged, say I don't want to do a super duper extreme one, but say you get separated from your family in a bus station or on a family vacation or something, and you're little and you're all alone and you're scared spitless because you don't know where your family went. They got ahead of you, or they went a different direction and you were playing with a toy and not paying attention, but you're standing there alone and frightened and afraid. Anything that happens or you see or observe, okay, say then you observe a guy punch a lady in the face or two guys get in a fist fight while you're standing there scared and alone. Because you're in a heightened emotional state, you will experience that other people's altercation differently than if you were hanging on to your mom's hand and walking through the airport. You might not even, or the bus station, you might not even notice that in altercation at all. So it's what even gets into our senses is impacted by our own life cycle, our own life wheel. And that our values then form from our thoughts, our beliefs. We have a lot, our values, our experiences. It all is interconnected and interrelated. And it's all with you at the center of it. And what then happens is the actions that we take or don't take are determined by all of these other events happening and triggering over and over and over again. And the actions that we take, of course, lead to the results that we get. The results that we get lead to more and more experiences. And it goes around and around and around, you know, most of it silently and on autopilot, with absolutely everything every day of our lives and every experience that we have throughout the days of our lives, right? So millions of times a day we go through this cycle of or wheel of experience, because something happens, we respond. Something happens, we respond. But in between the event that happens and our response to it, all these other things come into play, all of them. And we jump across the wheel. Why I drew little spokes on it with you in the middle is because we can go from thing to thing to thing at any given time. We don't go through them necessarily in that order, but all of them come into play when we determine how do we go from event to response, event to response. So I don't know if I'm explaining that well. I just think it's interesting that sometimes when we break things down, we have aha moments or epiphanies where we say, okay, I'm looking at a situation I was just involved in, and I realized that I went from somebody said something, and I immediately got triggered. I skipped because I went so fast through emotions, feelings, senses, and everything. I misinterpreted what and how they said it, their tone of voice or something, or the look on their face. Maybe they had just eaten mustard or something, and they hate mustard, and so they said something, and the look on their face and their body language, my senses decided that what they said was an insult and really mean and rude and disrespectful. And I'm going to form all these judgments, all these things based on past experiences I've had through this particular wheel, right? So if somebody has insulted me before or made that look on my face, I might get triggered, and then I'll just skip right to the reaction phase. And so instead of actually consciously saying, okay, well, maybe she didn't mean it that way, and asking a question, I jump right to attacking right back. And all of a sudden there's a fight going on. So just something to think about. I like to break things down to their smaller components and their parts, and realize that I, like everyone else, don't always see things the way they are, because I have all these other things that I'm filtering everything through, just like you are, just like everybody else is. So when there's something going on in the world and we're hearing about it through third parties, and we're forming opinions and beliefs and values, and we're getting dug in to argue and respond, forgetting to realize we don't even have a clue about what the real story is. And sometimes it helps me to think about this and just open my mind and say, okay, heard this thing. Just because I heard it doesn't mean it's true. Just because something is repeated over and over and over again by other people doesn't mean it's true. We always have to filter everything through our own brain and think for ourselves. I think I've been saying that a lot this year. Think for yourself. Get up and go. Take action. Nobody's going to do it for you. I feel like a broken record sometimes, but it's so true. If we don't step back and understand how we're being impacted by the world around us, both in positive ways and negative ways, it can, kick us around in ways that we don't want it to. We can find ourselves on the wrong side of the fence on a lot of issues that don't match our core values, because we've been brainwashed and convinced and manipulated into believing and thinking and feeling certain things that are all based on something somebody else made up. And that's really scary to me. So today, try out the life cycle. I'd say think of one experience, one dilemma, one situation that you find yourself in that you're thinking a lot about or something, and look at it and break it down by what was the exact event, what was the event, the experience, the thing that happened, and then what did I sense about that? What did I hear? What did I see? What did I feel? What did I taste? What did I touch? And maybe sometimes it's not appropriate. If you hear something on the news, you're not tasting it, right? Unless it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. But for the most part, some senses aren't always into play. But if you hear something or you see something that goes against your past understanding and logical thinking and past experience, you got to say, maybe I need to look into this further. Maybe I need to study this more. And then you do that. But run an experience through this. It can be a big experience. It can be a small experience. Run it through this wheel and see what you learn about yourself. That's what I'm saying, is use yourself as your own science experiment. See what you learn about yourself, because every day we need to be learning more and more about ourselves, because that's how we positively impact the world. That's it. Go out, have an awesome day. I'll be with you tomorrow with another fun, no-nonsense November tool of the day. and we'll see what we can learn together. Getting ready for the December Get Up and Go 30-day challenge. I hope you'll join me there. Otherwise, be with you tomorrow.